Lots going through the head. I shaved my chest because I've had this belief in my head for a long time that was false. That like I didn't have a small upper body or whatever it was. But basically like the hair that was grown on my chest, if you've seen, any of my videos on Instagram where I had like so much chest hair, right? That was covering up the fact that I hadn't put any time into working on my upper body. So less of a belief, more of like something that happened, right? I grew up and I had a ton of chest hair and I neglected this area of my body because it was shielded behind something that allowed me to kind of continue not touching it, right? It's kind of like if there's a box that has a ton of junk in it and it's sitting up on the shelf. The box kind of covers up the fact that there's a ton of junk sitting on the shelf. And so until you take care of that, it's just going to be junk on the shelf, So it's something that I wanted to take care of, but I never had the insecurity that would force me to go out there and actually do something about it. Now that I'm talking with women and starting to run without my shirt on, it's become more of an insecurity of like, holy cow, like my arms are small, my body, my chest, like I need to start working out. And so that's what I'm doing. Today is day 1 of 75 hard, and I'm going to go out and do a chest workout every single day. If that's what it takes over the next 75 days, a year, 2 years, this whole journey, it's the rest of my life, right? It's kind of cool to know that today is the day that kind of starts that whole journey. I've done enough marathons this year to know that I'm dedicated enough to stay committed for 75 days and even for the whole year of lifting every single day. And so on top of my daily running story, I'll be posting a daily lifting story as well. And then on top of that, like I've always wanted to get into reading, not always wanted to, but I wanted to get back into reading. I've read 35 or 40 books so far in my adult life, and I love it. The past year, I haven't touched a book in forever. I think when I flew to like Austin, I read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius again for the second time. Great, one of the best books I've ever read, if not the best. But because I read it all at one time, I got out of the habit and I wasn't continually moving towards the idea of being someone who reads all the time. That's the benefit of reading or working out or doing anything for just a little bit every single day, is that now that's a part of your identity. It's part of the daily practice of who you are. There's a reason why Seneca said that we are our habits. We are the things that we do every single day. And so then if I am my experience of the world, and my experience of the world happens every day, then if I change my daily routine, I change my life. I change who I am to the core. I change my story, all these different things. And so my story changes today. I'm no longer a kid that has no upper body. I'm going to be the craziest build you've ever seen. I'm going to be running through the finish line of a 100-mile ultra jacked. Nick Bear has nothing on me, all right? That's how jacked I'm going to be over the next couple of years. I'm not comparing. He's got his look and it's incredible, but just a little bit of competition, because I know that one day we'll be good friends. So anyways, I will go out there today and start 75 hard, and knowing that this is helping me build towards my future. There's so many things that have to get done today. I'm just thinking through, like there's a million thoughts of like, oh, this has to get done and that and this and that. And most likely half of that stuff is going to get pushed off till next week, and a third of it will drop off my calendar entirely, to be forgotten or never moved forward to whatever. And so I have to remember that in this life, there's too much work to be done for me to do it all. My buddy Tyler and I had an incredible conversation last night. We were talking about how the work that you've done in the past builds on itself. You want to work on something like a company, for example, or a personal project or a social media following, something that you own, so that the work that you do today pays off on top of the work that you've done every day in the past from the day you started. What do I mean by that? Like, as you put in work, the work that you've done gets more valuable. Hormozy talks about this a lot, and it's called like the compound effect, right? And so you want to work on a compound vehicle, a compound project, whatever it is, where when you put in more work, it makes the work that you've already done more valuable, right? For example, if I told you that if you save $1 every single day for a year, right? That's a linear growth. It's just adding one. It's plus ones. It's not multiplication. But if I told you, hey, for every dollar that you save, I'll give you 10 cents every day for every dollar. That's a compound growth. It's 10%. Then every single day, the dollars that you've saved in the past are still working for you today. And then, when that 10 cents on top of that every single day for every dollar works for you as well, that's the benefit of compound growth, is that, over the course of a week, it's not that much money. But over a year or a decade, it's a ton of money. And the same thing happens with the work that you put in. So then when you're looking at work towards a company, it's like, all right, well, I want to switch to this new thing that I'm doing. Instead of social media, I want to be the greatest bricklayer that you've ever seen. Well, I'm starting from the ground. And so maybe it's a good idea if I have the resources to hire a team and immediately get started, right? And I'll come back to that point in a second. But if I don't have the resources over here and it just didn't work out, and then I try to switch because the grass is greener, it's probably not the best idea. Because if I spend a significant amount of time and work over here in this thing and I move, then those years of my life have effectively gone to waste, So then the goal should always be, how can I use the work that I've done in the past to build towards my future, so that no moment, no lesson, no mistake, whatever it is, from my life experience goes to waste. And then full efficiency there, that's what allows you to achieve massive heights. If you're always bouncing around between jobs, never staying in the same industry, not using your degree from college, of course you're going to have a disorganized life. Of course you're always going to be stuck in the corporate, rat race and never making enough money, always looking for the next raise. You're not compounding on the hours that you put in so far. Okay, so the same thing applies for a company. When it's a solo entrepreneur that owns the company, then the work that you put in on your own company gets more valuable as you put in more work. The company builds, maybe one day you hire an employee, those types of things, and you can start outsourcing work. And then altogether, as you build a company, you make a lot more money. It's because it requires all these hours to build a big enough reputation and client base and all these different things to start spreading word of mouth. And then eventually, like, the company, if you've done it successfully, worked on the right things over time, grows, without you having to grow it, let's say. So that's, well, not to get too distracted. To pull back in, we were talking about that in terms of personal solo entrepreneur growth with compound work. But it also is work in general that is done. And so it's not just about how much work can you do. The most important thing is how much work can people do in your company. How much work is done inside the company. As more work gets done, the compound vehicle continues to grow, So then the goal is not how can I do as many things as possible? It's how can I outsource as many things as possible so that more work gets done? It makes perfect sense. And then now more money is being made because, the value that you're providing the employees, which we've talked about before, is that you're giving them the opportunity to show up to work every single day and get paid a salary. They don't have any risk. They get to show up and you get to pay them. And that's the contract that you have with them. You take on the risk as the business owner, which allows you to make more money per hour from their work than they make from their work. In some cases, what that would look like is you pay an employee $20 an hour, their value brings you $40 back, right? And that would be doubling or getting the same amount that you pay them. If you made $41, you would make more money per hour than they do at the work that they're doing for you, right? That's the value of setting up a company. It's providing a structure for someone else to do work consistently and get paid for it and have, starts with a C, be comfortable, right? Okay, so then the goal should be to outsource as much work as possible, which means that you have to train people and have the resources to be able to pay them on a consistent basis. Make a system to where you can pay people and train them to do the work, which makes more money for the business so that you can go out and grow the business in another area. And then that's the compound vehicle for a business. So there's always 1,000 things to get done on my plate, The thing I should be focusing on is what is the highest leverage? If I can get from that example earlier of saving $1 every single day and then making 10 cents per dollar that you save every single day on top of the money made making $10 or 10 cents every single dollar, whatever it is. That example, that 10 cent, increase per day, if someone else was offering 5 cent increase, but every 12 hours, that one's worth a lot more. Even though it's less money, it's a shorter time frame. And so, you've half the time, you've half the money, but I'm pretty positive that, well, at least once every single day, you'd be ahead of the other person. I don't know what that would actually look like. I'd have to do the calculation. But anyways, more compound cycles is what matters most. So then, and a higher ratio. So if I can post a video every single day, that's more compound cycles. If I get a 1% return, I grow my following by 10 followers, and I have 1,000, right? And then tomorrow I've got 1,010. Well, then if I grow it by 10 followers again, and then eventually I get to 1,100 followers. Well, now I'm growing it by 11 followers a day. I can post one video every single day, and if every single time I post one, I get more followers, I'm more likely to be able to get more views down the road because more people knew who I am and are bought into my story. The goal should be to be posting as many videos as possible like that with some heavy hitters that will just explode, right? The return there is like, 50%. I'm going to get, if I get 1,000 views, like I'm going to get 100 followers, 50 followers, whatever, like just a ton more than the 10 that I would get from the other person, the other video. So then, or if I had 100,000 views, then I would get like 3,000 followers from that, right? Balancing those two things, knowing that I can't do one of those big videos every single day, but I can do one a week. But during the rest of the week, I need to be having videos that I can post consistently. And I should be putting my time towards those things because there will always be 1,000 things to do, right? There's always so much work. Like, I've got to sand this table. I got to post these photos. What's the highest leverage thing? Leverage. Hormozi talks about this a ton. And this is so interesting. Watch this video first and then go watch some content from him on my first $100 million offers. Yeah, his first book. But anyways, leverage is like output over effort. So then how much time do you put in? I think that's it. I gotta study that video again. But basically, what's the result of your actions, and then how much effort did you have to put in to achieve that result? It takes me no time every single day to do the those daily videos. But so then in turn, like, the output is not as great as it could be. If I literally just had to post a photo and I still got the same amount of followers, then that would be a lot higher leverage. So those things were like, I'm probably confusing you a little bit. Try to go out there and study leverage a little bit from Hormozi's content to understand which activities within your organization are necessary for you to put your time towards and which ones you can outsource. Because there's a hierarchy of steps. The most valuable one is probably sales. Second most valuable is probably leadership. Maybe leadership is above that. Who knows? But if you create this hierarchy, then you should always be hiring someone for the bottom of the totem pole, bare minimum, unless you're making a ton of money or you have a vehicle that, like, for example, sales, where as an employee makes money, the business makes money as well, tangibly, not just like whatever the word is that starts with an A, related, whatever. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Basically, like, hire out, Try to find a way to do the highest leverage work, which for me, in this case, would be social media videos, because they take the least amount of time out of all the work that I'm doing, a lot less time than, woodworking. It's not as guaranteed right now, but I know that in order to grow out of the situation that I'm in, I need a compound result, a compound source of work. Building every single table that I build, the return on that is hourly wage, not compounded work. So I can go out and build a table, but it's not going to compound as fast as posting videos will, because I got 70,000 views the other day. And then at $5 per 1,000 views, that's $350, right? And that, of course, it costs money to go out there and do that. And then as well to edit it and get it posted. But, over time, that was with 5,000 followers. If I had 100,000 followers, maybe that video would have gotten like 1 million views, right? And then that's $5,000. So the same amount of work put in for both of those videos at just a different time on my journey, down the road, it was worth so much more because of all the work that I put in the past. That's better compound work compared to with tables. I've put in 1,000 hours of work with tables, right? And I'm still getting paid the same hourly rate, or maybe a little bit more, but there's not as big of a multiple as content because my work doesn't achieve as many people. Maybe the sum of this whole video, which is kind of the point I was trying to make at the beginning, because it's also, getting way too confusing, is that people matter more than personal results. That's the only thing that matters, is how many people can you get into your idea. Organizations are called organizations because they're organized people, organized groups of people. A company is an organized group of people. That's why they call it an organization. The best companies are the ones who are able to employ the most amount of people, because then they get the most amount of work done, which means that they have the greatest compounding happening within their organization. That's that. Why not us?